Amongst all the excitement of Dame Lillard going to the Milwaukee Bucks, there was one clear loser in the Dame Lillard sweepstakes, and that is the Miami Heat. And it was because of their own doing. And we're going to talk about how the Miami Heat can rebound from missing out on Dame Lillard, if it's even possible, and what caused them to miss out on a superstar point guard. We're going to get to all that and more right after this.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central, your number one spot for everything basketball related. I'm the host here, Haize, holding it down for the squad. If you want to follow the show, you can do so at NBA Central Show on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into the content for today. And so, with the Dame Lillard trade and all that hoopla finally winding down, and we now know where he'll be playing basketball for the foreseeable future, it left his biggest suitor kind of ass out in a way, just to be quite frank with it, right? And that is the Miami Heat. And the Miami Heat currently sit in a place right now where they really don't have a way to rebound. All major free agents are gone, right? There are some players out there that are reportedly available in trade that the Miami Heat may pivot to. One of those players being a player that was moved in the Dame Lillard trade, and that's Drew Holiday. But outside of those things, it really does seem like the Miami Heat just caused themselves, they played themselves in the Dame Lillard sweepstakes. Now, there have been some things that have come out since then that the Portland Trail Blazers wanted either Bam or Jimmy Butler back, and I don't really know how much I believe that, but that's crazy if that is what they were asking for. But one of the biggest problems that the Miami Heat suffered from in this whole Dame Lillard sweepstakes is that they acted as if they already had him in the bag, right? And that is what is kind of the craziness about all of this, right? Is that for a player like Dame Lillard, the Miami Heat, considering where they are, the players that they let walk away, the fact that they are trying to find a player to pair with Jimmy Butler, who almost willed them, not almost, that basically willed them to the NBA Finals by just the sheer will of his play and how bad he wanted it, right? And so while there were things that kind of held the Miami Heat back in these talks, like the Portland Trail Blazers not wanting Tyler Herro, and they would have had to find a third team, but ultimately, like, one of the biggest things that really hurt the Miami Heat in this is that their kind of hesitation to include everything they could have as far as draft capital. Now, when you look at what the Milwaukee Bucks did end up offering, right, the Milwaukee Bucks gave them one outright unprotected first-round pick and two other pick swaps, right? And so you would think that the Miami Heat would have been giving that as well. Now, they did get DeAndre Ayton in that deal as well, and who's to say that, if they would have, tried to flip Tyler Herro, could he have even been, the third player in that, right, with him being able to go somewhere else, and would they have gotten DeAndre Ayton, which was a big part of it? But ultimately, the Miami Heat really, for a team that is kind of always in the short list of a destination for every free agent that comes about, right? Heat culture is a thing. And it is a thing amongst NBA teams, and it is a thing amongst, like, just the NBA culture, right? People understand that Heat culture is a thing. But really, if we're looking at it in reality, the Miami Heat have struck out more times as of lately than they've struck on anything, right? And so, than they hit on anything, struck out more than they hit on anything, if I can get my damn analogies right. But ultimately, so the Miami Heat they miss out on a player again. And now they are in even much more of a dire place because they don't have much that they can offer. Now, the Miami Heat could have offered one of their own first round picks outright, and they could have offered a number of pick swaps out into the future, but they decided not to do so because once it came out that Dame Lillard basically was only going to play for the Miami Heat, that was his preferred destination, the Miami Heat negotiated as if that was the only route that the Portland Trail Blazers can go, and it ended up biting them in the ass for it. And now you look at a Miami Heat team that right now is planning on, having a starting five of Tyler Herro, probably Josh Richardson, Jimmy Butler, Kevin Love, and Bam Adebayo, which, isn't a terrible, right? They're going to be in the middle of the pack of that Eastern Conference, especially with having Jimmy Butler there and what he's capable of doing, right? And how he's capable of kind of elevating teams around him as long as they're buying in. But the Miami Heat, and their hesitation to include the younger players or whatever it is, at one point it was like Jaime Jaquez was something that was holding up the trade. Now the Miami Heat are stuck holding the bag and trying to figure out how can they salvage their season. Could they pivot? Can they get Drew Holiday, right? That's a big thing. That could definitely help them go in the right direction if they're able to get Drew Holiday. But that is not something that you can say is a foregone conclusion either, right? There are going to be tons of suitors for Drew Holiday, and there are going to be tons of people who are willing to offer picks to be able to bring him to their team to hope that he's going to put them over the top in both the West and the Eastern Conference. And so the Miami Heat could find themselves once again having to negotiate against other teams and maybe offer more than what they're willing to offer. And so that is the thing. That is where this team sits right now. And now with other things coming out that, the Suns at one point pursued Kyle Lowry and they had interested in him in a potential Dame Lillard deal. That did not happen, right? And then now you hear as of today that the Heat may turn their attention towards Joel Embiid, which I think a lot of teams are going to do as well, is that hope that they can be in a position to try to get Joel Embiid, that he may be the next disgruntled superstar. There was some thought that Giannis Antetokounmpo could be that, but now with Dame Lillard joining him in Milwaukee, that becomes a less and less chance. Right now, the Miami Heat are trying to find a way to salvage their season, right? And it's saying that they're unlikely to pursue James Harden, which, could have been something that they pivot to after missing out on Dame Lillard. That seems not. We've gotten word that they're also not pursuing Buddy Hield, who really wouldn't have. I mean, he can help, right? Buddy Hield can outright shoot and score the ball, but again, it's not the same thing. And so they've also now risked messing up the chemistry of their team, right? Tyler Herro with the cryptic post that he had a couple of days ago, right, with his name being tossed around. I don't know if that ends up doing it, but at the end of the day, the Miami Heat and the way that we have viewed the Miami Heat team for so long, just their ability to get people in the door, it may be waning. And at that point, or not maybe, I think it's the proof's in the pudding that it's waning. And so this is a team now that is going to struggle, right? Struggle to really get to what their ultimate goals was and what they hoped that the roster would look like at this point to start the season off. And so, we'll see. Like, one thing that I've learned to do is not count out somebody like Pat Riley, because you never know what Pat Riley has up his sleeve. But right now, Heat fans are upset, and they are calling out Pat Riley in a way as well for not getting the job done. Not getting the job done. And so, it was said the Blazers didn't get back to the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat didn't have a chance to counter offer or whatever. But the Miami Heat basically had months. We're talking 2 to 3 months of them being the team that mainly had an opportunity to negotiate for Dame Lillard because that was his preferred destination, and they could not get it done. They couldn't get it done. Now, Jimmy Butler, for the credit, his agent has come out and said that he's happy, even after missing out on Dame Lillard, that he's happy with the Miami Heat, which would make sense. For Jimmy Butler, after what he's been through after leaving the Bulls, of going to 2 organizations that didn't just quite get him in his drive and kind of his personality, he's now in a place that gets and understands that while, yes, he's bumped heads with head coach Eric Spoelstra before, but generally they get and understand what Jimmy Butler brings to that team. And they've tried to build the team around that with the proper mindsets of people who can take what Jimmy Butler's brand of leadership is. But I tell you what, the Miami Heat right now are probably a team that's looking to scramble and see what they can do now. They could wait. They could wait very well, see what happens around the trade deadline, try to make a move there. This team would have to just stay afloat between now and the trade deadline, which is something that's very well possible. But it remains to be seen if that's going to happen, right? And so we'll end up seeing, man. Let me know what you guys think down below on that. Do you think that this is one of the things that the Miami Heat will look back on and hugely regret? Do you think they can pivot? Do you think they are going to be able to get a deal done for a player like Drew Holiday, who reportedly he's on their short list? Reportedly, they're interested there as well. And they've already had some trade dialogue with the Portland Trailblazers, but, who's to say if that relationship, that trade relationship, isn't going to kind of be frayed now for a little while as they're trying, because of the way that the Dame situation went down. So who's to say all that? This is one of the things that makes the NBA season the most fun. It's just the fact that you just never know what teams are going to do. And a team like the Miami Heat, they're going to be looking to be buyers with the assets that they have. And at some point, they have to ask themselves, are they going to be able to get the proper talent in here to where they feel like they can make substantial runs in the Eastern Conference playoffs year after year? Or is it going to get to some point where they may have to go a different route with the roster? That may be a video for another day, though. Make sure you guys are following the channel at NBA Central Pod on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything basketball related, and I'll see you guys the next time I feel like making a video. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.